Just make it really simple. Use the tools that all developers are used to already. Not try and reinvent the wheel here. Just make life easy.
We're going to talk about the importance of scalability when it comes to this beautiful digital world of ours. And we talk a lot about the Metanet. So I wanted to hear why we need a very scalable blockchain to enable peer-to-peer transactions in a Web3 world, which will fit into this Metanet that we talk about.
We do have a scalable blockchain, and that's important because there's so many applications that could be using blockchain, but we always run into scaling limits when we try and build those on other blockchains. So if we can remove that restriction, then it sort of frees us up to build micropayment economies that are predicated on the fact that you can do some simple task for a small fee, but you have to do that 1,000,000 times a second to actually make any decent revenue over time. Part of what we're working on is the infrastructure components to build applications that are distributed and can scale. So you distribute the load over many instances, and you make sure that identity and a public key infrastructure is part of that. So every interaction that's peer-to-peer is actually backed up by certificates, by a certifier, but you're not locked into a particular vendor.
Very good. And Dagan, I know I've sent people your way, developers your way, when they've had questions about how they can work with BSV. How are you working at the association to make things easier for developers like that to get involved with this highly scalable blockchain?
This sort of Mandala upgrade can be kind of complicated on a technical level. So to make it a little bit easier for application developers, we have some SDKs, TypeScript, Golang, Python, and we're starting to develop components on top of those SDKs, like the overlay services component, which allows you to start forming your own overlay networks for application-specific purposes. So this is letting developers, perhaps with a simple application idea, just focus on that and then use the standard components for all the sort of Bitcoin-y stuff.
And we are at an AWS summit here, so AWS must fit into this somehow. And I think the plan is to have these overlay services available via the AWS Marketplace. Talk to me about how that is going to make life easier for businesses and developers.
Absolutely. So when we say peer-to-peer, we mean like person-to-person, right? So sometimes it's confusing why we'd be at this sort of cloud computing company, right? So we do need services that are going to facilitate even peer-to-peer transactions, because we need to propagate transactions to the center of the network where the Terra node is timestamping things. So all of those little services, they can be microservices, really specialized, but AWS just makes it super simple to just spin those things up as and when needed. Obviously, if you're entering into this business, you want to try and get something that'll generate more revenue than it costs you. So AWS just make it really cheap to start something, spin something up. We've written the software, AWS are hosting for you. So there's not a lot of work involved in getting that up and running. And then you can immediately start earning micropayments revenue. So that's the idea.
Well, we like simple and easy, Dagan. Thank you so much. So great to see you, like I said at the beginning, and have a great time in Zurich.
Thanks, Becky.